On April 26, 1986, at exactly 1:23 a.m., Reactor 4 at the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant near the young Soviet city of Pripyat exploded. The catastrophe began as a late-night safety test, but turned into the worst nuclear disaster in human history. That night, an invisible enemy was unleashed, a deadly cloud of radioactive isotopes that would poison the land, sicken thousands, and leave scars that remain to this day. The test was designed to simulate a blackout scenario. If external power were lost, the reactor needed to maintain cooling until backup diesel generators activated. However, a combination of flawed reactor design, the RBMK type, and a cascade of operator errors turned the test into a fatal experiment. At the critical moment, a massive power surge triggered a violent steam explosion, blowing the 1,000-ton reactor lid into the air. Moments later, a second explosion scattered burning graphite from the reactor core onto the plant roof and surroundings. The immediate firefighting response became one of the disaster's first tragedies. Brave firefighters from Pripyat and nearby towns rushed to the scene with no knowledge of radiation risks. They fought the blaze in regular uniforms, some even handling chunks of radioactive graphite with their bare hands. Many suffered fatal radiation burns within hours. In total, 28 plant workers and firefighters died from acute radiation sickness in the days and weeks that followed. Initially, Soviet officials tried to conceal the scale of the disaster. The residents of Pripyat, nearly 50,000 people, continued their daily routines even as radiation levels spiked dangerously high. Children played outside while an invisible storm of cesium-137 and iodine-131 settled over the city. It was only after nuclear plants in Sweden detected elevated radiation that international pressure forced the Soviet Union to admit there had been an accident. Evacuation of Pripyat began only 36 hours later. Loudspeakers announced that buses would take people away for a few days, and residents were advised to bring minimal belongings. Many left pets and possessions behind, expecting to return. They never did. The city was abandoned, frozen in time. School books still on desks, toys scattered in playgrounds, and meals left uneaten. The so-called 30-kilometer exclusion zone around Chernobyl became a radioactive no-man's land. The radioactive cloud traveled far beyond Ukraine. Fallout was detected across Europe, from Poland to the UK and Scandinavia. In Belarus, whole villages were contaminated and evacuated. In total, over 350,000 people were displaced. The long-term health consequences have been devastating. Sharp increases in thyroid cancer, especially among children exposed to radioactive iodine, and possible spikes in leukemia and other cancers. Estimates of the total death toll vary. Some conservative counts suggest around 4,000, while other studies argue the real number could be between 30,000 and 90,000. In the chaotic days after the explosion, over 600,000 people, known as liquidators, were mobilized to contain the disaster. Soldiers, miners, engineers, and volunteers worked in deadly conditions to bury contaminated soil, demolish buildings, and construct a concrete sarcophagus over the destroyed reactor. Many liquidators received high doses of radiation, thousands died prematurely, and many more suffer chronic illnesses today. The Soviet government's mishandling of Chernobyl shattered public trust. It exposed deep flaws in the Soviet system. the culture of secrecy, suppression of bad news, and prioritization of ideology over safety. Historians often cite the disaster as a critical factor in the political reforms of glasnost and perestroika that ultimately led to the Soviet Union's collapse in 1991. In 2016, an enormous steel structure called the New Safe Confinement was slid over the aging sarcophagus, designed to contain radiation for the next 100 years. But even today, Reactor 4 remains a threat. The melted uranium fuel, mixed with sand and metal, forming a deadly substance known as lava-like fuel-containing material, continues to emit radiation. Ironically, in recent years, the Chernobyl exclusion zone has become an unlikely haven for wildlife. Wolves, lynxes, bears, and wild horses now roam the abandoned territory, thriving in the absence of humans. At the same time, dark tourism has brought thousands of visitors to Pripyat's haunting ruins, drawn by curiosity, danger, and the eerie beauty of nature, reclaiming a poisoned landscape. The story of Chernobyl has been revived in popular culture, most notably by the acclaimed 2019 HBO miniseries, which dramatized the disaster and paid tribute to the heroism and sacrifices of those who fought to contain it. The series sparked renewed debate about nuclear energy and government accountability. Today, Chernobyl stands as both a warning and a lesson. It reminds the world of the catastrophic risks posed by human error, technological flaws, and political secrecy. It is a testament to the bravery of those who risked and gave their lives, and a chilling monument to the price paid when science and power are mishandled.